Good afternoon, everyone. I'm on a one-screen laptop today recording, so I apologize in case the screen's a little bit blurry or if the audio is a tad bit muffled. I'll fix that for the next video. However, we still had some good volatility in the S&P, which I thought was another data point we could add to our option studying. Now, the setup we're looking at is inside of the ES futures. However, the actual asset class we will compare are the 0 days to expiration options compared to the 2 days to expiration options, both using SPY. Now, the setup itself triggered in that 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific hour. The setup triggered when the S&P had this little sell-off right here. That sell-off took us into the aggressive Volatility Box's cyan entry lines. Not only did we breach them, but we also saw 3 different edge signal confirmations. That was our signs that, hey, the fade setup rules are met. Now, what's interesting is the ES futures had their instant point move here. In terms of the ES futures, we were looking for about 7 points. We made that same 7 points with very little heat. However, with the S&P options, or SPY options, you have the choices with different expiration cycles. So in today's video, I compared the 0 days to expiration cycles with the 2 days to expiration cycles. 2 simply because we've learned through past videos that adding a little bit more time typically tends to help you mitigate a lot of the risk. Now, with the 0 days to expiration options at the time of the entry, they were going for right around 50 cents, so about $50 for the option. What's interesting is the gain with those 0 days to expirations. At their peak, they ended up touching something like $1.50, so you had almost a 300% return for those 0 days to expirations. However, the risk with the 0 days is also much larger. That $50 would have dropped down to zero very quickly, even in that next hour, had the S&P continue to keep selling off. So different story here that the S&P bounced really nicely off of the volatility box levels, and you were able to get that 3x return on the 0 days to expirations. Now, the 2 days to expirations here were a little bit different. The at the monies at the time of entry, which in both cases, by the way, we're talking about the 543s, were going for about $1.80. At their peak, they ended up touching about $2.80, so we had about a $100 gain there, still a very nice return. However, nowhere close to that same 3x that you saw with the 0 days to expirations. The beauty of the 2 days, however, was even if the S&P, say, had continued to dwindle down in that next hour, maybe even continue to chop, the 180s would have held their value much better compared to the 0 days to expiration, in which that theta decay would have kicked in almost instantly. So 2 different pricings here to help give you an idea. Actually 3 if you want to count the ES futures in themselves. If you use the actual futures, you had a 7 point plus or minus opportunity there that you could work with. The SPY 0 days to expiration options, the options were going for much cheaper, 50 cents for the at the monies, and they ended up tagging a max of 150. However, your risk with those options was much greater, with this 50 cents going straight down to zero. The 2 days to expiration went from about $1.80 to about $2.80, so you had still a very nice gain there, but not as nice when you compare it to the 0 days to expiration. However, as a result of having that smoother ride, you also knew that your downside risk was better protected compared to the 50 cents or the 0 days to expiration options, which would have lost their value much quicker. I hope you found this video helpful for those of you looking to understand SPY options pricing, specifically the at the monies with the ES futures, and how to use them as an alternative if you wanted to use this zone for an entry with the volatility box levels. Hope you found this video helpful. Take care, everyone. I'll see you in the next update when I'm back up with my normal setup.